Welcome to all. Earthkeeper and James Dibron are very pleased to present John Van Auken, Director of the Edgar Cayce Foundation, in the following video presentation on the fascinating topic of the healing and metaphysical benevolent attributes of gemstones, minerals, and crystals. Based on the prolific information on the benefits of gemstones from the highly credible Edgar Cayce readings, in this utterly mesmerizing, extraordinary presentation, so very well researched, examined, and presented in this video by John Van Auken. John Van Auken is an author, speaker, researcher, explorer, tour leader and guide, and highly respected expert on the vast readings of Edgar Cayce. And John has been featured as a consultant and expert advisor on numerous television programs and documentaries, including the National Geographic Channel, the Learning Channel, MSNBC, Sci-Fi, the Science Channel, Discovery Channel, BBC, and the History Channel. John Van Auken is highly acclaimed and revered author of more than 45 fascinating books investigating human origin, including Edgar Cayce's Atlantis, the Book of Revelations, the Kabbalah, the Essenes, the Life of Jesus Christ, and Atlantis. In fact, John Van Auken has 50 books in print covering various areas of metaphysics, health, rejuvenation, meditation, Atlantis, Egyptian mysticism, the pyramids, the Maya, Nostradamus, and spiritual well-being and psychology. John Van Auken is an engaging, truly fascinating speaker, and he academically and brilliantly connects the readings of Edgar Cayce to the valid use of gemstones, minerals and crystals as a forgotten science. From ancient Atlantis, Earthkeeper are very excited to feature, once again, by popular demand, John Van Auken as keynote speaker in September 2018. John Auken will also be available for book signings at the upcoming 2018 Earthkeeper Atlantis event in the sacred, beautiful, verdant, Ozark rolling hills of Little Rock, Arkansas, heart of the Crystal Vortex. And sacred Arkansas, the Crystal Vortex, is the new seed donor. In addition to his extraordinary work as director of the Edgar Cayce Foundation, based in Virginia Beach, Virginia, John, in alliance with the ARE, has co-led expeditions in search of Atlantis, the pyramids, and the prophesized halls of records. He leads tour to sacred sites globally for the Edgar Cayce Association. John Van Auken's website is www.johnvanauken.com. The website for the Edgar Cayce Foundation and ARE is www.edgarcayce.org. John Auken is a brilliant speaker and exemplary teacher, a gentle man of great intelligence, wisdom, modesty, and humility. John Auken is considered by James Dibron and Earthkeeper to be a mentor and truly a walking master whose very energy is uplifting and healing. Earthkeeper and James Dibron are truly honored to present, in the following video, John Van Auken on the forgotten science of healing gems and crystals. Filmed live at the December 2017 Earthkeeper Atlantis event. In this remarkable presentation, The Forgotten Science of Gems and Crystals, John Van Auken thoroughly reviews the utterly amazing benefits and healing attributes, spiritual influences and advantages of gems, noble metals, minerals, and crystals, as derived from the Edgar Cayce readings. This astonishing, must-see, presentation will begin immediately after this beautiful opening music. Stay tuned. On behalf of James Debron and Earthkeeper 2018 videos, we sincerely thank you for watching. Namaste and enjoy.
folks. Number one, I always embarrass him with these introductions. And number two, I love this man from the bottom of my heart, and he uplifts my energy every time I'm around him. And it is my honor to introduce to you John Van Auken, director of the Edgar Cayce Foundation.
Thank you. Thank you, Tib. That is way beyond whatever I expected. And Wendy, I was also born in New Jersey, Atlantic City, New Jersey. We have a lot in common there. So this morning's talk is going to be all about Edgar Cayce's vision of gemstones, and particularly how they can help us as souls and physical bodies. I know we are all in these big physical forms of flesh, bone, blood, lymph, hormones, but truthfully, we are eternal celestial beings who were alive and active long before this particular body that we're using now. And when this one lets go of the spirit, we'll be off and running again forever, which is a hard time period for a three-dimensional human to comprehend. But life is very different in the spirit than it is in the body. So these celestial beings that we are temporarily sojourning terrestrially, physically. But it's a very purposeful incarnation. Our soul is hoping that we will have the will and the opportunities to resolve some karma, to enlighten and improve our understanding, and to be a blessing to others. Because the only way the Great Spirit comes in through this world, into this world, is through the little spirits, us. Or as the Egyptian called us, the godlings of the great God. That godling energy of ours is what Edgar Cayce kept trying to get out of us, to be channels of love and light in this world to those we meet every day. He said that gemstones are actually a gift to us, a powerful little helpful tool that we can use, and they are all around us. We, according to him, are energy beings. Vibrations affect us, and we affect others around us. Now, I grew up in the 60s, and we naturally believed this. We talked that way. It was the hippie generation. It was life flowing freely, love flowing freely, and we used this language all the time. At university, I can remember turning to one of my friends and saying, "Have you met her? She has really good vibes." Vibes was how we talked, and the beautiful song, Good Vibrations from the Beach Boys, came out of that era. We were really into vibes. I can remember one of my girlfriends turning to me and saying, "I don't like the vibes you're putting out right now." We are vibrational beings. Life is vibrational. And Edgar Cayce said that these stones are vibration, and they can complement and supplement our vibrations. We actually can affect the stone, and the stone can affect us. And gradually the vibes grow in the relationship to our stones, our gemstones, and ourselves. As you can see in this reading here, And do any of you are not familiar with Edgar Cayce very much? You just raise your hand a little bit and all. Okay, all right. Basically, here's what he did. I'm going to have to set the mic down, but I'll squat and talk closely. Let's see if I can do this. Is it working? All right. No. Yes. Yeah? Okay. All right. He would, when he was a young boy, he demonstrated powerful skills that most of us didn't have. And one simple one was one day his father was testing him on his spelling book, and he didn't know any of the words for the test the next day. And he said to his dad, listen, Dad, if you let me sleep on that spelling book for about 15 minutes, I'll know all the words. Now, I had 3 kids, and they tried everything with me. I honestly don't know what I would have said if one of them said that to me. But his dad said, you got 15 minutes, and handed him the book. He put it behind his head, reclined on the couch. When his dad came back in 15 minutes, Edgar knew every word on the test for tomorrow, how to spell it. And then he told his father, Dad, I don't just know those words. I know every word in this book and what page it's on. I have a photographic, visual perspective of that entire book. So you can see how he got the nickname, the Sleeping Prophet, because he did all of these in an apparent sleep state. The reason I needed 2 hands is here's how he did most of it. He would recline on the couch or a bed, cover his third eye until he saw a white light. When he saw the light, he would move his hands over his solar plexus, and he would start to go into deep breathing and REM, rapid eye movement. He was falling asleep on you, you see? But if you gave him a suggestion as he was slipping into the deeper consciousness, he would go and the light would move, and he would go with the light to find, like if you said, we have Mary Smith's inquiring mind about her life, the light would move, he would move, and he felt he came to a hall of records, and with the book of life of every soul in this room and me was recorded, and out, the keeper of the records would bring Mary Smith's book out to him. And when he turned the pages this way, he was looking into her future. When he turned this way, he was looking into her past. He said that sometimes when reading the book of life, he couldn't tell the difference between whether she just thought about it or actually did it, because thoughts were as real as the actions. I was a young man in my, probably around 19 when I read that, and I was a wreck for a couple of years. Someone should have told me thoughts are recorded. This is not right. Thank goodness I came across the Cayce reading that said new thoughts overshadow old thoughts. I was saved. And man, I watched my thoughts. As soon as I said, oh, not that thought, not that thought. No, no. You and I are truly known. I know we feel alone, and often we are lonely. But the truth is we are never disconnected. In reality, it just feels that way. We are a part of a collective, a universal consciousness that's very much aware of us. And that greater whole has these vibrations to it. And so Edgar was talking about how we could work with gemstones to help our vibrations. So in this one, he says, each element, each stone, each variation of stone has its own atomic movement, held together by the units of energy in the universe. Hence, they come under varied activities according to their color, vibration, or emanation. Emanation comes right out of the Kabbalah. In the Kabbalistic view, the infinite, eternal, unknowable expresses itself in a way through emanations of aspects of itself that we can then know it. One of them would, of course, be loving kindness. That's an aspect of the infinite. And as you know from Paul's writings, the fruits of the Spirit, if you eat those fruits, you assimilate the Spirit. Those fruits. And those fruits include gentleness, kindness, love, patience, understanding, all of these things. And these have vibrations to them. Now, even though this looks like a very thick physical form, it's composed of atoms, and there's a lot of air and space inside atoms. Nucleus and electrons have space between them. So I'm full of very open atoms, and so are you. And if during meditation or some event, I raise my vibrations and I get more and more elevated in my vibes, the electrons will actually jump out of their orb and I start to get lighter and more expansive. Often, many of you who meditate and myself sense ourselves expanding or levitating during a deep meditation. This is the activity of those atomic structure that we're made of, those atoms within our bodies. Now, I am never one to argue with God. And here God tells Moses that in order for the high priest to go into the Holy of Holies, to contact the Ark of the Covenant and communicate directly with me, he has to be wearing a breastplate of gemstones. So, hey, there must be something to these stones. You realize that that was one of the requirements to make contact with the Ark of the Covenant, was to wear the breastplate. Here are the stones on the breastplate of the high priest. I am wearing an emerald. See the emerald there, the green, that's the emerald. I'm wearing an emerald right here. I have a diamond right over here. You see the diamond on the far side. My dad, who's still alive and kicking, drives me crazy. He's 98, very active, very healthy. He always wore an onyx, and he's as hard as an onyx. Here you see an amethyst. These were all stones on the breastplate. Now, the way it worked was Moses had been a great Egyptian and loved by Pharaoh. And the Egyptian temple was all stone. It was a pyramid with a long causeway, and then down near the Nile River was a valley temple. You would come off the boat, you would bathe yourself in the valley temple, you would be draped in white linen and gold, your hair would be anointed with oil, and then you would start up the causeway for initiations along the way until you entered the Great Pyramid or a pyramid for the final initiation and metaphysical experience. So here Moses is out in the desert with God, and God says, we've got to make a new temple, and this one is portable. It goes with you. Hint, hint. And then Paul comes along in the New Testament and asks us, don't you know the body is the temple? Your body is the temple? And so you see how the vibrations of stones can help us with our temple, just like it helped the high priest go into the Holy of Holies. He wore the breastplate over his heart chakra. I know pronouncing it chakra is more common today, but you know, I was 16 when I started studying this, and my instructors always said chakra, and I can't break the habit. Doesn't this convey to you that there is some heavenly perspective that gemstones are important towards spiritual contact with the infinite? Here's Edgar Cayce. Each stone has a spirit, as the spirit of the pearl, the spirit of the diamond. It is the fire that is of a different vibration. So in its oppression, it may bring that which fires the imagination of those who are very selfish, or it may bring peace to the wearer. those who are a little more selfless. He points out the pearl is a natural consequence of irritation, and it will bring either peace or irritation to the wearer, as will the diamond, while all the other stones have their varying vibrations. Now, as you may know, the pearl is made by an irritant getting inside the oyster. And rather than cursing its life, the oyster begins to build a beautiful gemstone around that irritant. Now, our psychologists today like to point out to us that the thing that is most irritating to you in this life, you may have married it, you may have given birth to it, you may be employed by it. But if you work at that, the psychologists say your greatest strength and your greatest talents will come out just like the oyster made the pearl, out of an irritant. And we all know that the ancient Egyptians taught that in this world, dung will happen. And the dung beetle was one of their major symbolic symbols of spiritual resurrection and rebirth. The hardship in your life, whether it's your physical health, your personality you're trying to improve on, your thoughts, or someone you are related with, or a situation you live with, in that dunghill comes your greatest opportunity for illumination and power and strength. Your greatest talents will come out in trying to resolve and work with those struggles. And Edgar points this out when it comes to the pearl. I have my pearl here. I have to carry a pearl. So here's my little beautiful pearl right here. There are over 40 Cayce readings on pearls, as you can see. He says a pearl is an adornment, a thing of beauty, created through the irritation of that which manifests itself in a lowly way to those that consider themselves of high estate. But by the very act of irritation to its own vibration is the higher vibration created. So really, if you don't curse the irritations in your life, but engage them in a desire for understanding why they irritate you and resolving them, you bring the higher vibrations, just like the pearl of great price here, he points out. He tells this one woman a pearl should be worn upon the body or against the flesh of the body, for its vibrations are healing as well as creative. Because of the way irritation has produced same, as a defense in the mollusk, oyster, that produced same. In the next reading, he says, thus the entity should ever keep a pearl about the self or upon the person, not only for the material vibration, but for the ideal expression. Well, what's going on there? He's doing exactly what Patanjali did in the Yoga Sutras. Yes, we have physical vibratory chakras, and they are energy vibration centers, and they have hormones connected to them through the endocrine glands. But Patanjali also pointed out you have lotuses associated with each of the spiritual centers, and these are mental perspectives. Here's Edgar's doing the same thing with this woman and the pearl. Yes, it has physical vibes, but it also has a quality of mental understanding that, like a lotus petal, gradually will open its petals for you to understand more and more as you work with life. For it will be as an omen to her, not only because of the vibrations, but it may give to self, but because of keeping the even temperament, yea, the temper itself. For the entity can get mad, and when it is mad, it is really mad. So here's a stone I share with you. When I was a young man, I had a terrible temper, and I had to work with that. I had an afflicted Mars in my astrology horoscope. And my father used to joke that I could throw a golf club further than I could hit a ball. I started carrying a pearl around. And I had people telling other people, you know, he's really a mellow guy. And of course, my dad and my brothers would go, who are we talking about? These things can help you. And you want to make note of what he says their actual help is. Here is La Peregrina, in English, the wanderer, the most perfect pearl ever found. It was found in the 1500s, and just a few years ago, it sold for $10.5 million at Christie's. La Peregrina. Some of the greatest women, or most powerful women, have worn La Peregrina, the most perfect pearl. Some of you are just too young to know this couple. But even the Pope got upset over this couple and had to make a comment about their torrid sexual affairs. But I'll say one thing for Richard Burton: he knew how to thank a woman. He bought her the most expensive diamonds and pearls. This is actually called the Elizabeth Taylor diamond, and it sold for $8.8 million. But he also had this other heart-shaped teardrop or heart-shaped diamond sold for $1 million. The oldest diamond, amazingly, the largest diamond is 1,000 carats, over 1,000 carats. And here is Charles Darwin, the founder of the theory of evolution, saying, to suppose that the eye could have been formed by natural selection seems, I freely confess, absurd in the highest degree. There are some things you just cannot explain. They are just beyond beauty and understanding. This was found in Botswana in 1905. The science journal Nature reported that the diamonds, the natural diamonds we are finding today, began their creative process 1 to 3 billion years ago. Billion. If you have a natural diamond and not a synthetic diamond, you are carrying around something that may have been with your soul billions of years ago, or your soul had a feeling for this stone because you were up and kicking billions of years ago. You were getting into a lot of trouble, but you were active. Billions of years. And here is, it's made of carbon, but very organized carbon. And here's the recipe that Nature published. Bury carbon dioxide 100 miles into the earth, heat it to about 2,200 degrees Fahrenheit, squeeze under pressure of 725,000 pounds per square inch, and then quickly rush it to the surface of the earth to cool, and you got a diamond. Amethyst is another amazing. Oh, let me go back and point out one thing. Russia has impact diamonds. They were created when a meteorite struck Siberia, and they discovered the crater full of diamonds, the crater full of diamonds in 1970, and they've been selling these diamonds ever since. These are naturally made by a meteorite. Okay, so Edgar moves on to amethyst. It's on the breastplate. Amethyst is a purplish quartz crystal. It is one of the stones in the breastplate of the high priest. Edgar said it was for protection from dangerous emotions and desires. He explained to one person that amethyst on the body would quiet the body from physical depression. And I had a few friends over the years who were naturally depressed people. They always saw the glass half empty. Their body chemistry always seemed to be depressive. And I told them about this reading, and they started wearing amethyst and keeping amethyst near their bed. And they really felt it helped. So keep that in mind if you deal with that issue. or physical reactions that make one restless and at dis-ease. And Edgar told his stenographer to hyphenate the word. So it's not disease, it's restless and at dis-ease. So wearing this, and it would help control the temperament as well. A Lantean temple, Edgar described, had semicircular columns with inlaid amethyst that would catch the rays of the sun, making various light patterns and colors move through the chamber. So I took my amethyst geode and put it near my window, near my meditation place, so that when the sun came through the window, it would reflect the rays, and I could get back in touch with my Atlantis incarnation. The first one, not the second one. I don't want to get in touch with that one. That one didn't go so well. Here you go. It's a beautiful stone. It was one of my late wife's favorite stones, and I got her a couple of those. But she also liked alexandrites, and they are deep purple too. So I got her one of those. Very beautiful stone. Believe it or not, Edgar Cayce recommended coral. Now, I know you have to be careful, but you can still get natural coral. I bought my bracelet and necklace from Hawaii. My son was stationed there for a while, and I asked him to look for it, and sure enough, he could get red and orange and white coral. Here's Edgar's reading. The body will find that the unquiet and the tumultuous conditions will be changed to the harmonious abilities to give out if they would wear coral. In this next reading in the yellow as you come down, your soul has been tried as by fire through many of your experiences in the earth. How many of you feel that that could have been your reading? Yeah, I know, me too. Yet, there are those things that make for harmony in their relationships as one to another, as do the turmoils of the mother water that brings forth in its activity about the earth those tiny creatures, coral, that in their beginnings make for the establishing of that which is the foundation of much of those in materiality. Hence the deep red coral upon thine flesh will bring quietness in those turmoils that have arisen within the inner self. As also will the pigments of blue to the body bring the air, the fragrance of love. I love that. Mercy, truth, and justice that is within self. See, he really wanted to help us by understanding that vibrations of color, of gemstones, of even people actually affected and improved our vibrations. And as we got stronger, we actually then radiated out, as he said to the First Lady, give out these better vibrations. Have any of you got coral? I know it's rare. Yeah, whoa, okay, me too, that's great. Okay, this is a fun one, the fire opal. I get a kick out of this reading. Each of these have their value in the effect of the vibrations that they each bring about the body. There being then individuals who, when wearing a fire opal, would be hard individuals to deal with when it came to sex. I thought, whoa, I've got to be careful about a fire opal. Yikes. But then he tells them, these same individuals wearing or having in the apparel the moonstone might find that it would bring peace and harmony and those tendencies towards spiritual things. So, I mean, if you are a real fire opal, hot sexual person and you're weary and want to break, go get yourself a moonstone. Wear it for a while, you'll calm down. I think at high school we should give out moonstones to help the kids with their hormones. There are those to whom the bloodstone brings harmony and less of the tendencies for anger. So with each. Now that's a picture of a bloodstone, but they come in all sorts of colors, even a full orange. Even I saw a bloodstone with slight blue cast to it. So keep your eyes open for various shades of bloodstones that might appeal to you. Remember, he's saying you have to feel the vibe with the stone to see if it's right for you, okay? So you want to work on that. Now, here you see a malachite in the upper left, rose quartz, the lower left, lapis on the right. And Cayce says he's trying to inform us that these are manifestations, emanations of the Spirit. They are not the Spirit itself. So Tib helped me find some rose quartz bracelets, and I gave one to my daughter, and my adult daughter, and she told me that it has become so important to her that when she puts it on, she feels different. And she says, I know it's weird, Dad, but it feels like an old friend. It feels like a friend. Well, my late wife, Doris, she did not like to wear the rose quartz. She loved to wear the lapis bracelet, and it always felt better on her. So you've got to try this out. In this next reading, Edgar points out that a lot of this stone selection that you do is from your past lives. So when you're walking around, it's just not your current personality. Try to shut it down a little bit and feel your soul self. Kind of let your inner self reach out with a hand and kind of feel what you're looking at. Or watch your dreams or your intuitive impressions that jump into your head when you're quiet. You may get a sign of in past life how you may have used a stone that if you use it again this life, you'll gain even more because you already had worked with it in the past. In this reading in the middle there, you see the entity should ever wear about the body the lapis lazuli or the lapis linguis. For these will bring strength to the body through those vibrations that are brought or built in the innate experience. That means born with. Innate experience means your soul already knows this. Of the entity from its sojourn or past life in the Egyptian land. And you may not know this, but King Tut's death mask was made with lapis and coral. There's a little coral in there too. Let's see, I got a picture here. I always felt, go back for a minute, I always felt that Doris, my late wife, resonated more to a past life with lapis, and Jacqueline resonated more to a past life with the rose quartz. And that's why she said the weird statement, it's like an old friend. And I couldn't understand how she could say that about a bracelet until I realized her soul probably really used rose quartz in ways that were good, and so she feels good with it on her wrist. Cayce explained that lapis is not a mineral, but a metal, the erosion of copper. We know that copper is a good conductor of electricity, but Cayce didn't go there. He said that lapis has, quote, the vibratory helpful force for health. For strength, for the ability through the mental self to act upon things, conditions, decisions, and activities, and, quote, will bring health and hope. And best of all, the ability to do that so desired. It helps strengthen your will to do what you desire to do, but you struggle with often. As you can see down here on the lower left, there are 3 basic families of lapis. The lapis that is sort of like malachite linguis, let me see if I have a blow up of these. There's lapis lazuli, and so you see it has a pyrite and calcite. The golden flakes are the pyrite, and the calcite are the white flakes inside lapis lazuli. Let me see if I have another one here. Okay, here you see Edgar saying, for some people, lapis is too strong a vibe, and he wanted them to encase it in glass or put a piece of crystal or glass between their body and their lapis. When I was younger, in my 20s, we were all working at the Cayce Center. All us young kids were doing all this crazy stuff. You never knew you could turn the corner and there'd be somebody with a lapis taped to their third eye, and you'd go, oh God, I hope my mother doesn't visit today. But where are you working, John? It's okay, Mom. He's really an okay guy. Looks weird, but he's okay. I remember in my 20s, I had to be careful wearing a lapis too long. So I used to only put my lapis necklace on during staff meditations, and it would touch my skin. But that was like for 45 minutes, But as I got older, I found that the lapis didn't freak me out, didn't stir me up and get me all churned up as much. And so now I have huge pieces of lapis sitting right around where I meditate and all. I have the amethyst, the lapis, crystals, a couple of different kinds of crystals there, statues from various places, anything that kind of stirs the deeper mind, the deeper self to come to the surface more, or to affect an auric field around which the meditation can be protective from both myself and discarnates and other energies as well. It was a spiritual stone, according to Cayce. How many of you here have a lapis? Oh, wow. So you're real. I'm talking to the choir, aren't I? You guys know these stones. How many of you have a crystal? Well, maybe we should talk about something else. Okay, I already asked you about coral, and I was surprised a lot of you have coral. How many have a pearl? Wow. How many of you feel the effects of these stones when you have them near your body? Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Do any of you use them during meditation time? Yeah, you do. Do you? Those of you who do you hold them in your hands? No, just a few. Do you wear it as an amulet or something like that? Or do you just have it near you when you're... Yeah, all of those. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Yeah, right. So is there another stone that some of you find helpful to you? A what? Moldavite. Aha, yes. And azurite? Huh? What? What? Oh, I don't know that stone at all. Tib would know them all. He's a geologist, gemologist. Yeah? Oh, yeah. It's amazing. At ARE, the staff has varying stones that they particularly are fond of and vibrate with them. And in most cases, if I ask them, it has something to do with a sense of past life activity, that they had some connection with it in a past life. These are helpful to you, but you have to remember they are just helpful tools. The real spirit, the real connection, the real vibe comes from within you and from the infinite universe. For example, the Ark of the Covenant was always in the Temple of Solomon in Jerusalem, but yet some of the most spiritual activity was going on in the temple at Mount Carmel. They didn't have the Ark of the Covenant up there, but they also were the Essenes. And I wrote a whole book on that based on Cayce. And they knew that woman was equal to man, and they had women leading sacred ceremonies. And if you read the New Testament carefully, the baby Jesus is shown to a woman at the temple. Well, the only temple that would happen in is an Essene temple in Mount Carmel. In Jerusalem, it was all male dominated. There would be no female running the temple there. But the Essenes did. In fact, Edgar Cayce says that the main teacher of young boy Jesus was a female Essene priestess. And she was so powerful that he could be anywhere else, not near Mount Carmel, and she could appear to him while still being at Mount Carmel. She could bilocate. And she would sit with him and talk and listen to what he was perceiving and help guide him in his studies. So feminine was equal to masculine in the deeper studies. In fact, the Essenes had simply read Genesis carefully, and when they were banished from the Garden of Eden, the Essenes knew that God turned to Eve and said, out of you comes the Redeemer of this situation. So the Essenes were looking for holy women first. Yeah. Edgar tells the story, and there's a book on this also, of Mary's mother coming to the temple at Mount Carmel. Her name was Anne. And telling them, listen, I don't know how to explain this to you, but I'm pregnant and I haven't had sexual relations with a man. And they said, come on in, we got several others in here just like you. Now this sort of stuff goes way back to Egypt, because Isis was the same way. She conceived the Savior Horus immaculately. So feminine energy is the intuitive energy, and that intuitive energy will help you pick supplemental colors and stones and various texts to read or statues to have or symbols, and you need to use that. It has to come from within you. If someone else says, oh, that's the stone you want, oh, okay, that's okay. They're trying to be helpful to you, but you must feel whether it is or not. And I actually noticed that it changed as I went on with my life. Various stones that sit on my little altar spot, I haven't used in years, but I used to use them intensely. So you do change vibes, you do grow, and you do shift, and you have to be open to allow this. Okay, I left some time for us to share and ask questions. So if you have questions about, let me see what other. Oh, I just wanted to point out that if you do become a member of ARE, you get the magazine Venture Inward, and that's the latest issue right there. It has a lot of articles in it, and I wrote an article on gemstones in there with all the Cayce readings. To the right of it, you see the membership newsletter, the quarterly, Cayce Quarterly. There's always articles in there, and there's also a membership experiment you can join and participate in. And then, like Laura said last night, the health database is awesome. I mean, it just goes on. If you have an issue from a wart to cancer, you can find information in the Cayce readings about that. But you can also find spiritual advice and mental emotional advice in the circulating files are topically arranged, and you, as a member, you get those free. Also, you have access to all of his readings. You can search the readings online in the membership section. I do that all the time. And then, of course, you'll be aware of events and psychic fairs around the U.S. and also around the world, and all the tours that we do to sacred sites. I just came back from China and Tibet. It's the second tour I've done. And do you know we have a big Cayce Center in Shanghai? I went there and taught for a week. But here's the difference from ARE USA and ARE Shanghai. ARE USA, the age of our participants is from 40 to about 80. In Shanghai, everyone's under 40. I can't believe it. And of course, they look to me and think, is he really alive? Yes, people do live this long. You'll find out. See, the problem is Mao wiped out a whole generation. So their grandfathers and great uncles are not around to teach them and all, and to see that, yes, you can be alive with white hair. It's possible. But they are starving for this information. They gobble it up. You know, it's wonderful. And I took gemstones there, and I laid them out on the table, all different kinds of gemstones. And they were all there getting them, and then they were meditating with me, holding the gems. So, okay, take it easy, don't get too intense. I remember the way I was when I was 20. I know you're feeling it. My next tour, I'm taking the Chinese to Egypt for an Egypt tour of China. That should be interesting. All these under 40-year-old Chinese going, 30 some of them. And then I'm leading a tour to Greece, and we'll go through the great Grecian period there. So you'll get information on all of that stuff if you participate. Okay, anybody want to do some sharing on vibrations and gemstones? Yes. You've been told that while you're sleeping, take your jewelry off. Well, does that feel right to you? Yeah, you've been told, but I want you to just pause for a minute and tell me how you... Oh, you got it on, you little bugger. You are wearing it. See, this is good. You don't let people shape you. Yes. Oh, wow.
Sacred geometry, I mean.
Yes.
I could have sold many. The Melchizedek in this lady put the heart on, where is it? The heart on it, and then she quit making them, but it's my special.
Oh, that's special. Well, only if you roll a lot and sleep would I be careful about that. I wear my rings, certain rings, at times when I sleep, and there are other nights when I don't want anything on me or around me, and I can usually tell intuitively what my soul wants.
Maybe if you have 4 hours to sleep, or 7 or 8, with the 4 hours, maybe you take it all off in order to really... Yeah. 4 hours to sleep, take it all off. 8 hours, leave it on. Is that what you're saying? I don't know. Okay, I'm coming around.
Hello. I have a question regarding the faceted gems versus raw gems. Does it matter if you wear raw or faceted, and also the origin of that stone from different countries?
Yes. Origin is very important too, but there are only certain locations on the earth that you can get certain stones, so don't let origin get you too freaked out. Like you can get some fantastic lapis from Afghanistan, but everybody thinks, oh God, it's got the war energy in it. No, this sucker was 100,000 years ago, you know. And my youngest son served in Afghanistan, and you know, Dad, do you need anything? Oh yes, I do. If you come across lapis, oh Dad, lapis is everywhere here. I said, good, put it in your suitcase. Polished stone, yeah, I'm still doing her. Polished, I mean, I'm still talking with her. Sorry. No fire opals for you guys. Yeah, a moonstone, thank you. Calm down here. Polished, Edgar encouraged a raw side and a polished side if you could. Yeah, in other words, faceted on one side, but leave one side rough. The vibe will be radiating better, but once you polish hard, the surface is a little harder. I have found that really you'll still get the effects, but not as intense. So if you have a raw stone, just leave it that way. Unless you want a beauty side, then get it faceted on one side and keep the other. That's what Tib does. Have you noticed his stones are polished on one side and you turn them over and they're raw on the other, because he knows these readings.
So you're supposed to wear the faceted toward your body?
No, the raw toward your body and the faceted beauty for others to look at. Do you see? If you want to do that. Or just wear raw. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I was given raw
Yes.
fluorite crystal back in the late 80s. And I chose to sleep with it. And in recent years, and I have done that since it, of course, sometimes it's on the floor.
Yeah.
But lately, in the last few years, I wake up and it's in my hand.
Oh.
And it's hot.
It's hot.
Or
Yeah.
very warm.
Warm. Yeah.
And I feel that it's putting out energy when it does that. What do you think?
I agree with you. This
But-
is a special stone for you and
Yeah.
your subconscious.
Right. And I can't recall what I was going to say about it. But I brought it with me. I can't sleep without it.
Oh.
You know.
Oh,
So,
that's great.
And I was told it was a healing stone by the
Yes, a
person who
healing
gave it to
stone.
me. And in the 90s, in my abdomen, I felt like there was a tumor.
Oh.
And I would put it over that,
Oh,
my
wow.
abdomen,
Yeah.
when I was going to sleep and in the morning waking up.
Yeah.
And after a few months, it was gone.
Oh, that's great.
So,
That's great. So we got 3 over there, 1 there, and 3 over there. Oh, and 1 here. Well, let's try this guy and we'll work our way over there and then I'll come back. We've got time. Don't be anxious. I'm not going to cut you off. Yeah.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, I have a stone, 3 stones that was given to me about 10 years ago, and they came from Jerusalem.
Uh-huh.
And the stone is called Elat.
Ah.
And if you look at it, I have it here in the hotel.
They need you to speak up a little more. Point the
Okay.
thing.
This stone that I'm talking about is called Elat. It was given to me about 15 years ago, and they come from Jerusalem.
Uh-huh.
The stone is a combination of lapis, malachite, turquoise, and chrysocolla.
Uh-huh.
I could have the stone set in a silver bezel, polished out, and the backside raw.
Oh, good.
Very, very powerful stone when I wear it for meditation and doing consultations. Can you tell me anything else about that stone? I've never met anybody who's able to give me more information. But coming from the Holy Land, I know that it must be very powerful.
Right, right. Whenever there's a combination of stones, either in one stone there's a combination, it is very similar to wine. Do you know that blended wines are often more flavorful than the pure single line of wine, a blended wine? So I think the blend of those stones, plus it being from the Holy Land, adds an energy, a vibration to it. But particularly your perspective on that stone being special to you adds even more, because as you think, so it is, you know. So we're going to go over here with the mic. We're going to do, all right, and we'll come to you, I promise, next. Yes.
So I'm well aware that the stones I wear actually affect those around me. So if I wear a moonstone with some opal in it, the little kids very much calm down, maybe too much. So what would be a perfect stone or stones with a combination of metals to use in any situation that affect many people. If you want to do work with people and have them interested or calm or full of love, but not overexcited.
Uh-huh. So you're dealing with people that are not calm.
Yes.
Yes. And you want to know what to wear to help them. Mm-hmm. Well, first, I would not wear anything that was underneath my clothes. I would put it on my wrist or my fingers, and that would affect their subconscious that is looking through the same eyes that their ego is, their personality. And also it would have the vibration externalized, not covered. And you could pick, it depends what you're dealing with. Is temper involved or just the disturbance and unrest? Just disturbance and unrest. So I would go with something like coral or pearl. And a woman wearing pearl is very natural. Yeah, something like that. But I want you to also go with your intuition, because some of your clients may actually, you might intuit or have a vision, a dream, in which you have another insight from deep within yourself. You know more about those clients than I do, and your soul can communicate with the infinite. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, I would particularly like to ask this question because we have a lot of people in this group more experience with crystals than I have. I bought a large milky quartz crystal to aid myself in meditation. It was about the size of my fist, and I went to follow a cleansing procedure where you put organic apple cider vinegar, some sea salt, and water in a big bowl, dissolve it, and then place the crystal in it for a half hour. Well, I put the crystal in the bowl with the point straight up, and I thought, well, that's not going to work. So, because I felt I needed to immerse the whole crystal. So I gently wrapped my fist around the crystal and laid it on its side. The entire bowl exploded, just exploded. There were glass shards all over my kitchen counter, water on the floor. I was lucky I didn't get it in my stomach because I was standing right. And I was in such a state of shock. And I've asked so many people what it is. They said bad energy. I thought, is it my energy going through the point when I pointed it towards the glass? If John or anyone has any insight about what this experience is, I certainly would appreciate the help, because I am clueless and I haven't touched that crystal since.
Edgar Cayce says that the Atlanteans understood how crystals were formed by nature or God through nature, and that they were able to use them to communicate with infinity and to channel stellar, star radiation and solar, which is a star, radiation into this world in the form of energy. And if they shaped the Atlantean crystals in a manner that was similar to the way Gentle Bear described the Vogel crystal earlier, if you were here, so that the energy would move through, be intensified, and then that intensity would radiate out the other end of the crystal. And they could use this energy for many different uses, flying machines all the way to warming to communication in long distances. You remember back in the 30s and 40s, they had crystal radios. Well, even our computers today have crystals in them. They need crystals. It's a stone that channels energy, sound energy, ethereal energy, star energy, stellar energy. So I don't think it was you, because your intention was simply to help the stone in position, but that somehow the energy turned in such a manner it came out and burst the glass it was in. So I wouldn't be afraid of that crystal. Still, I would do a little ceremony with the crystal to make peace or comfort your own soul. because the greatest anxiety is probably in you, not the crystal. So I would do a little ceremony, refriend the crystal, and then bring it back into use. And don't worry about purifying that baby. It sounds like it's supercharged already. You'll be okay. Yes?
Two very quick questions.
Yeah.
One is, does the Cayce reading mention fluorite as a mineral, and how to
Yeah,
use it?
fluoride. He was not thrilled when the U.S. decided to fluorinate the water. No, I wouldn't say that. The gemstone, I thought you were talking
No.
about the chemical.
No.
Oh, sorry. Yes, every gemstone, he said in that reading I showed, every gemstone has its spirit and its vibration. And if you have a relationship somehow with that spirit, that vibration, it will work very well for you. So do you have one?
Yes.
And how does it work for you?
I don't use it much.
Oh.
Other question. I'm wearing a papyrus sapphire.
Yeah.
And I am wanting to know if all corundum has the same vibratory property like a ruby. Sapphires in different colors.
You need to ask Tib that question. He is a geologist, gemologist. He would know the answer. I am not a gemologist or geologist. So where are we? Here we go.
Is it a good idea to have a crystal in a nursery near a baby?
Wow. You see, I don't want to put a vibe of me on that. You're a woman. A woman is mother. You need to feel yourself. You're closer to why a baby lives and how it grows than a man is, just by nature shaping you that way. The very cells of the baby are your cells. So I would go with your intuition. Now, if you want a prejudiced male view, after conceding the truth of what I just said, a grandmother, still the grandmother. Your daughter's cells are your cells, and your okay. I think putting energies of the gemstones in a room, not necessarily on the baby's body, in the room is a good idea. I like that. And certain colors. Huh? Well, you can always work a crystal. A crystal is very general, very broad, and it was seen as one of the original power stones of the ancient Lemurian Atlantean period. So I would start with that thought. And then you would have to intuit where that soul was vibrating and what might be supplemental. I don't think Doris and I started giving much attention to. See, Edgar said the first couple of years are just trying to get the body stable. So focus on getting the baby body here, well established, processing, assimilation and digestion, and get the body right. Then he said, then the soul. You know, Rudolf Steiner and Edgar said the soul comes in stages, not all at once. So the first stage is a part of the soul, and the key is to get the body well established within the first 2 years. Then Edgar said, when the teeth come in, another portion of the soul comes in. Rudolph said the same thing, Steiner. And then around 7, the gender of the soul comes in. An 8-month pregnant woman came to Edgar Cayce and said, what sex is my child? And he said, that hasn't been decided yet. She said, I'm 8 months pregnant. He said, I can tell you the gender of the body, but around 7 or 8, the soul will project either its yin or its yang, or as the Chinese say, it's yang, yin or yang. Now, in the U.S., that's not acceptable. You can't go into the recovery room and say, excuse me, father-to-be, what kind of sex were you hoping to have? And he would say, what? So, well, you have your choice, because 1 out of every 2,000 births, the genitalia are ambiguous. We have both. Now, Edgar said back in Atlantis, that was normal. The bodies were all hermaphroditic, androgynous. You had both, and they conceived in the womb of their own being for their friend souls to come in. But then in Genesis, remember, you go for a chapter and a half before God separates the androgynous Adam into a feminine and masculine. You know, it's chapter 2, verse about 18. You're aware of that? You're androgynous up to that point. Then God casts a deep sleep, reaches in and pulls out what the Hebrew word is, kava. And in Hebrew, that means the life giver. The feminine is the life giver. She has the womb. Now, if we had only named the remaining part Bob, we would have understood this. But unfortunately, they just capitalized Adam, and that screwed up our minds. Okay, yes, ma'am, I see you, and I'll come to you.
Hi, I'm Star, and I'm very strange. I live in a geodesic dome with 3,000 pounds of crystals and about 1,000 different gemstones. I even have names, pet names for my gemstones.
Wow.
Some of them disappear for 2 or 3 days.
Wow.
They sit on the altar, they sit someplace, and I know nobody's touched them, and then they're back, and they feel different. I want to know how many people have had gemstones, crystals disappear and return.
Oh, that's...
Okay, I just wonder, what do you think is going on with them when they disappear?
I wrote a whole book on angels, fairies, gnomes, and I want to tell you a recent event that happened in my house. My daughter and her children, my grandchildren, were over, and the youngest boy, he's 3 now, lost his favorite teddy bear when my daughter and her husband were out and I was babysitting. This was an intense crisis. We couldn't find that teddy bear anywhere. And so I had to put him to bed crying. And I said, I promise you it will come back. The next morning, the teddy bear, now we searched the entire house 4 or 5 times with his sister helping and he crying the whole time. The next morning, that teddy bear was sitting in the middle of the floor. And I know my little gnomes and fairies helped me at night. My elves found it. So I had a serious talk about finding it a little faster. You know, I appreciate your help during the night, but it would have been a lot easier. Okay, where's the next? Oh, yes.
Hi, blessings. My name is Susan, and about 28 years ago, I was just introduced to crystals, and someone was doing some body work on me and put a huge pink quartz on my heart and left me there for half an hour, and it disintegrated into pink sand. And I was wondering, do you have any insight on that?
It's beautiful. That's beautiful. Pink, it's just very heart chakra energy. And you see, Edgar, if he gave a reading for you, he might, I mean, I remember when he told a Midwestern housewife who was basically in diapers and ironing shirts that she used to be the fire altar princess of Atlantis. And she was going, man, I have fallen a long ways. Here's one right up. Okay, go ahead. We'll do some more questions tomorrow at my talk, so don't get anxious if you didn't get to talk. I know this is very important because really we are the morning stars that sang together. We're a community, and it's real important for us to intermingle and share like this. It's very important for our souls. So where's the next one? Yes.
Hi, I'm Kay. I'm weird too. So I work at the biggest crystal store in New York City, and I don't know a lot about crystals because I was trained as a shamanic healer, but I started to notice, and I wanted to know if you think this is correct, that the crystals actually determine who comes in the store, because I've started to notice that I sit in the back and read tarot cards, and I started to notice that one day it's all the Harry Potter kids, and then the next day it's all the like Lemurians, and then the next day, or then it's the Wiccans in the afternoon, and then at night it's the shamans.
Yeah.
And I was like, and they all hover around the crystals, which are in the center of the store. There's thousands of them. And I started to get the impression that I was like, maybe the crystals are actually the ones that are determining who comes in. Would that be correct?
It's the crystals, and it's also the movement of the cosmic planets and spheres. Believe it or not, we are always moving through constellations, which are star clusters. Planets are moving by us, some very fast, like the moon and Mercury move around us. There are times of the day, sequences of the month that actually shift the changes and would draw a bunch of Lemurians in, and see the crystals are channeling whatever the cosmos is projecting. Do you see? So that's really what's happening. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing. In Edgar Cayce's lifetime, he noticed that his readings had a soul group of ancient Persians come in together over a period of, say, 2 or 3 years. Then came Trojans, then came Egyptians, then, Greeks. He noticed this cycle, and he said that he thought it was the rhythm of the cosmos drawing a soul group that had traveled together. So where are we time-wise? We still got a little more time, believe it or not. Yeah.
John.
Where?
John.
Where is the voice? There it is.
Good morning.
I thought it was God for a minute, but because you see, God's a woman to me. Go ahead.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I bought a ring from Maui Divers in Hawaii, and I was attracted to the gold coral, and I wasn't sure if it was authentic or not, so that's what I'm asking you.
I tell you, Tib is the guy to ask. You see, he's a geologist, gemologist. I'm more of a metaphysician, a mystic. So I would ask him that, and if you have it with you, I would show it to him. Okay. He really could answer that for you. I tell you, Tib is the guy to ask. Okay. He really could answer that for you. Okay, so let's call it a morning, and we'll wrap up here. And believe me, I'll do some more question and answers tomorrow, so don't be anxious. Just note your question. Here comes Tib now. Thank you for doing this, James. This is a wonderful gathering, and you always.
Well, you know I love you. Yeah. Thank you very much. Another round of applause for John Van Opal. Doesn't he just brighten the room? I mean, John doesn't even need to say anything. He just comes in and it lifts the entire mood. So it is my honor.
Dedicated to all spiritual activists, true seekers, and peaceful warriors worldwide.
I regard myself as a soldier, though a soldier of peace.
Once upon a time, not long ago, there was a boy who would grow and become a great soul. He lived in India and his name was Gandhi. He believed in human rights and he fought for equality. He felt so strongly that he trained himself, cause he realized first he'd have to change himself. He changed his clothes and decided to walk. Some days he practiced silence and refused to talk. When he was young, he studied to be a lawyer, and then he became a great spiritual warrior. He read from the scriptures of every religion and came to the realization that we're all God's children. Because he understood that we're all equal, he became a spokesman for the people. A karma yogi devoted to service, to spread truth and peace was his purpose. You gotta be the change that you wanna see in the world. Be the change, just like Gandhi. Be the change that you wanna see in the world, just like Gandhi. Gandhi dedicated his life to the cause, even when it meant breaking unjust laws. He often faced prison and incarceration, but that only strengthened his determination. He said he would make every sacrifice, but that he would never kill or take a life. He used his heart instead of his fist, and he taught non-violence as the way to resist. A peaceful soldier who used his mind to fight for the rights of humankind, but not just people, animals too. In his basic teaching, God is truth. He joined Muslims, Sikhs and Hindus, Christians, Buddhists, Jains and Jews, all the many paths that lead into the light that shines bright inside of me and you. You gotta be the change that you wanna see in the world, the change, just like Gandhi. Be the change that you wanna see in the world, just like Gandhi. Be the change that you wanna see in the world, the change, just like Gandhi. Be the change that you wanna see in the world, just like Gandhi. Gandhi taught an eye for an eye makes the whole world blind, and it takes more strength and faith to be kind. With that in mind, Gandhi took a stand against the foreign occupation of his land. When things got violent, Gandhi would fast, not eating for days until the riots would pass. But the biggest event that made the British halt is when Gandhi G decided to harvest salt. The British Empire installed a salt tax, and stealing salt was an unlawful act. So Gandhi and his peeps took to the streets, 10,000 deep, they marched to the beach. But when they arrived, they were beaten with clubs, but they didn't fight back, instead they chose love. The foreign military realized they were wrong and eventually decided to go back home. You see, Gandhi G was a very great leader, but before all that, he was shy and meager. As a young child, he was just like you and me before he became Mahatma Gandhi. The word Mahatma, it means great soul, and it's inside of us just waiting to unfold. If you follow your heart and act real bold, next time it'll be your story that's told. You gotta be the change that you wanna see in the world, the change, just like Gandhi. Be the change that you wanna see in the world, just like Gandhi. Be the change that you wanna see in the world, the change, just like Gandhi. Be the change that you wanna see in the world, just like Gandhi. Be the change that you wanna see in the world, the change, just like Gandhi. Be the change that you wanna see in the world, just like Gandhi. Be the change that you wanna see in the world, the change, just like Gandhi. Be the change that you wanna see in the world, just like Gandhi.
I regard myself as a soldier, though a soldier of peace.
Never been a sinner, I never sinned. I got a friend in Jesus. So you know that when I die, it's gonna set me up with the spirit in the sky. Whoa, set me up with the spirit in the sky. That's where I'm gonna go when I die. When I die and they lay me to rest, I'm gonna go to the place that's the best. Go to the place that's the best.
Some velvet morning when I'm straight, I'm gonna open up your gate and make tell you about Phaedra and how she gave me life and how she made it in some velvet morning when I'm straight.
Flowers growing on a hill, dragonflies and daffodils learn from us very much. Look at us, but do not touch. Phaedra is my name.
Some velvet morning when I'm straight, I'm gonna open up your gate and maybe tell you about Phaedra and how she gave me life and how she made it in some velvet morning when I'm straight.
Flowers are the things we know. Secrets are the things we grow. Learn from us very much. Look at us, but do not touch. Phaedra is my name.
Some velvet morning when I'm straight.
Flowers growing on a hill,
I'm gonna open up your gate
dragonflies and daffodils
and maybe tell you about Phaedra
learn from us very much.
and how she gave me life
Look at us, but do not touch.
and how she made it in.
Phaedra is my name.
Once there was a way to get back homeward. Once there was a way to get back home. Sleep, pretty darling, do not cry, and I will sing a lullaby. Golden slumbers fill your eyes, smiles awake you when you rise. Sleep, pretty darling, do not cry, and I will sing a lullaby. Once there was a way to get back homeward. Once there was a way to get back home. Sleep, pretty darling, do not cry, and I will sing a lullaby. Boy, you're gonna carry that weight a long time. Boy, you're gonna carry that weight
Once there was a way to get back homeward. Once there was a way to get back home. Sleep, pretty darling, do not cry. And I will sing a lullaby. Golden slumbers fill your eyes. Smiles await you when you rise. Sleep, pretty darling, do not cry. And I will sing a lullaby. Once there was a way to get back home. Once there was a way to get back home. Sleep, pretty darling, do not cry. And I will sing